If you are watching this, then I am sorry to have to tell you that we have all gone home. If you're watching this, then I'm afraid everything's gone wrong. There's nothing I could have done about this, but I'm just sorry it had to happen. So, to repeat, if you're watching this, it's gone wrong. If you're watching this, it means in all probability that I'm not here anymore. Perhaps I never was, but in my absence, I want you to know that perhaps I could have been, and maybe that's enough. If you're receiving this, the chances are I've made it over the ridge. So please, could you do me a favor and go and check if I've left the iron on? If you're receiving this, the chances are you still have a television, even after the TV Confiscation Act. So please be aware that we will be around forthwith in a TV detector van. Look, if you're watching this, the chances are England are still in the World Cup. But I just wanted you to know that although I have sometimes enjoyed that funny one-arm celebration that Alan Shearer does, on the whole and on balance, he's actually a bit of a twat. If you're receiving this, there is then a small chance that my radio waves are small enough to squeeze through the gaps left by the traces of their vestigial referencing system. And if this is the case, please put the kettle on and await further instructions. If you're watching this, it can only mean that I've failed in my attempts at trying to do that thing I'd been talking of attempting to try for so long. And if this is the case, please can you have a word and try and do something? If you're receiving this, there can be no shadow of a doubt that my life here in the Blue Zone has come to a halt. For future reference, please refer to Section 6 of your Civic Engagement Manual. You will know then which steps to take. And don't tell anyone else I said so. If you're watching this, it can only mean that the world has come to an end and the all-new digi-spectacle has replaced that which was once lived. But don't be worried, because it's only a very slim outside chance that you are watching this. Don't have nightmares. You want me to read that? Hold it up. If you're watching this, it can only mean that the theremin harmony values may have reached your ear holes. But please, whatever you do, don't try dancing to them, and don't try and follow them to their source. That is all for now. If you're watching this, then I'm afraid to say it's not good news, and that the future is not the Star Trek white-robed Eden we had imagined it would be. But all is not lost, because you can watch the football on the train via a smart device. If you're watching this, it can only mean one thing, but you'll have to forgive me because I've completely forgotten, or it slipped my mind for a moment, what that thing is. In the meantime, did you enjoy the television build-up to the alien visitation? If you're watching this, then I'm afraid it can only mean that my brain has been switched off and placed in a large jar of amniotic fluid until such time as the mind transmitter has been developed fully by Cambridge scientists. If you're watching this, it can only mean that my brain has been switched off and placed in a jar of amniotic fluid until such time as the mind transmitter has been developed fully by Cambridge scientists. If you are receiving this message, it can only mean that the chain of events which has been triggered has included the dispatching of a digitally encoded version of my face talking to you about a series of events that were planned, but due to the roll of an actual dice in a mirrored corridor, the silk curtains have been drawn. If you are watching this, please report immediately to the Editor-in-Chief, who will be able to instruct you as to the main protocols for cleansing your ocular synaptic connections of the dislocated and gratuitous content you have unwittingly exposed yourself to. If, however, you're watching this by accident, please carry on and swipe left at your convenience. If you're watching this, I can only assume that you found that stash of DVDs under my bed, and I ask you to stop watching now, because this is the first of many which were never intended for public consumption. By the time you are seeing this, the light balls required for its constituent ingredients will be in use in the latest virtual reality entertainment game, best enjoyed from a bulbous and literal gaming chair. By the time you are seeing this, my body will be cloaked in a swathe of cosmic luxury that I ordered from Argos Prime earlier today. But don't let that put you off, and sit back and enjoy the rest of the show. If you're seeing this, by the time I realize it will be too late to tell you that thing I was going to tell you. But seeing as you're so beautiful, I will tell you anyway. So come closer, and I'll whisper. By the time you are seeing this, all human culture within the Atlantic boundary will be converted to the official visual protocol, relying entirely on the complete trust in a perpendicularization of all optical information delivered directly to the flat screen inside your brain. If you're watching this, then I'm afraid it's the last straw. or was it the final furlong? I can never remember which. And I'm not sure it makes much difference anyway. But I thought I'd let you know because it's obviously a matter of some import. Terms and conditions. The owner of this time will not knowingly take an upwards glance whilst then softly blinking, and then in the future refer to this moment as 30 seconds of their life that they will never be able to retrieve. Going to concerts adds 9 days to your life, so who's to say that watching dislocated acts of creative purposiveness won't add a few moments? All's well that ends well. By the time you are aware of watching this, my voice will already be an echo of an idea you were holding on to, lest we should ever depart on a gangplank leading to the open seas of nomadic freedom. If you are not aware of watching this, then please accept my apologies and move on. If you're watching this, then I'm afraid to say, I'm sorry to tell you that it's already too late, and your life, which was once a vital and pulsing entity, played out in the green garden of wonder, is already an ossified digital fossil of equivalence built solely out of the building blocks of comparative repetition, constructed with the sole purpose of centralizing power in the hands of a few corporations. If you're watching this, it's already too late to tell you that if you're watching this, the show is over. The fat lady has got a slimming app, and the main event is deleted. The curtain has been drawn. The chips have been salted. The slime is underfoot. Is this thing on? Shall we do one? If you're receiving me, then let me just say that watching and looking are not necessarily the same as seeing, if you catch my drift, or if you don't, then blink to let me know what you think, or words to that effect, and probably the breeze will help. If you're watching this, it can only mean one thing. So you need to decide, A, are you watching this? And B, what does it mean? You are on your own, and we are with you all the way. What you make of this is up to you, but your decision will have earth-shattering consequences for fans of Brazilian beach volleyball. I meant to also say that I've also known about your feelings, but never bothered to say anything until now, that is. So to repeat, if you see it, say it, and the world will thank you for it one day. At least that's the idea. Dear colleagues, if you are watching this, may I remind you to take the opportunity that the feedback rotor must be undertaken by the end of the camel's hump at the very latest, and late loopings will not count towards your oil slick sliding reservoir. If you're watching this, it means that your order has been dispatched. If you are watching this, then I am sorry to have to tell you that we have all gone home, and you have missed the boat. This film of me speaking to you was left on the shores to distract anyone not chosen to follow us back to the planet Utopion. If you are watching this, it means we have returned, and the temptation to look and see how our creation is developing has become too great to resist. We know this is risking the entire collapse of the project, but we need to know, and the need to know has become too great. We are profoundly sorry if this results in your creative growth being stunted. If you're watching this, then try to relax and allow yourself to focus specifically on the sound of your heart beating. Listen to the noise of the blood inside your head. If you can do this when all else fails, at least you know you are a human being, which can't be totally bad, can it? But seriously, if you're watching this, only do this if you're watching this. If you're reading this, then you must celebrate the leaps and bounds in interrelational communication that progress-driven paradigm of the modern civilized world has brought to bear. Imagine a world, if you will, without a way of gauging a child's devoutness by their willingness to read. If you're watching this, first of all, may I congratulate you for having made it this far. The images that your mind is now processing were made as part of an occasion many millions of nanoseconds ago. If you are to make sense of them, then they suggest you lie on the floor of a hut and look at the ceiling. Wait a week or two and then get yourself a nice strong cup of tea. Enjoy the day. If you're seeing this, then it's good news. But if you want the good news, then it's not good news. The good news is that you have eyes to see, and the bad news is that what you are seeing is all relative. If you are watching this, then you have gone through the door marked "Don't go in here." And now that you are here, you need to get out of here. But I have not got the time right now, so sit over there and stay still. If you are watching this, then please be advised that failure to blink will result in the immediate cessation of the right to be addressed by the full and rightful title you previously submitted to the Watching This Committee. If you're watching this, then you can feel a huge sense of relief that your aerial is in the optimum position. I will now ask you a series of questions. These will float into your mind as you close your eyes and try to breathe like a man who has just positioned an aerial on his roof. If you are watching this, then be aware that you have only just started to awaken your sense of sense perception, and the true and real depth of this mediumistic message is to be found in a dimension as yet undiscovered by the deliverer. Please make a donation to your local Badger Watch on the way out. If you're watching this, it can only mean that the mission has been a complete and utter failure, but on another note, our time here has been quite nice, and None of us drank the stagnant water, so I'll probably see you next week. If you're watching this, then I'm clearly not where I was meant to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this. And now that we've established that, can we get that other thing out of the way? And just say that, yes, I know I'm not where I was meant to be, but it's all a matter of timing. If you're watching this, I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you that this is no longer a valid format, and the function of your interaction with this particular form of moving image is by extension no longer valid. So pick up a chance card and use it to do something illegal. If you're watching this, it can only mean that you weren't in when I came round earlier to see if I could borrow a bowl of sugar. And if you're not ready to lend me a ceramic item, I'm quite happy to provide you with a Tupperware dish. If you are watching this, it means that you are entitled to an hour of free tea making services at the Giant Tea Drinking Emporium. Once this has expired, we will charge you upwards of £68 an hour for the tea making services. Terms and conditions apply. If you're watching this, it means that I'm no longer where you thought I might be in the first place. This video has started playing as part of the relocation protocol, and I'm not entirely sure what I will end up saying, so let's just let it roll and see where it leads. If you're watching this, then it means I might be dead. There, you see, I totally might be dead, and I made this film before I totally died. So enjoy the strange thrill of watching a totally might be dead person talking directly to you. If you are seeing this, then it can only mean one thing, and one thing only, but that itself is open to interpretation, because if the surprise was meant to happen, then it would have happened by now, and can therefore not be a surprise, by which logic it will come as no surprise when I tell you that I am in love with you. If you're watching this, please take a seat in the room next door and wait for your name to be called. But make sure you only sit there if you are watching this. The weather today will be unusually humid, and so therefore we like to keep the numbers to a sensible minimum. If you are watching this, then it means the rapid growth of the special has led to the old guard having departed, leaving us with the vestige of their conceptual framework, with the total abstraction of connectedness having been realized. What are these discs, you ask?